Okay, we're on Module 4, Lesson 3, divide multi-digit whole numbers. Our I can statement is I can divide multi-digit whole numbers by multi-digit numbers with or without remainders. So, what we're going to do before we start, you need to make sure you have out a work page, or I would prefer if you were maybe in your book, so that way you could be writing it down. So have a work page or your book out. We are on page 115. We're going to go to 116 for this Step It Out lesson. So our first question is number 1. Mr. Soto buys a new phone for $432 on a payment plan. He pays $18 each month. How many months will it take him to pay his phone? So we're going to be dividing because we want to know how many months there are. So to find equal number of payments, we're going to divide 432 by 18. Complete the sentences to find the estimate for Mr. Soto's monthly payment. To estimate the quotient of 432 divided by 18, round 18 to 20. Because anything with a 0 is easier to work with. We're going to round 432 to 400. And then divide. When we do that, when we do 400 divided by 20, we're going to get 20. So that is the estimate we're going to have. So we want something, when we actually divide it, around 20. So they actually have it kind of worked out for you right here. It says complete the division problem shown to find the number of months Mr. Soto will be paying for his new phone. So they have all the stuff down here. We just have to figure what goes here. So 18 does not go into 4, but it goes into 43. We have to figure out how many times that can happen. Okay, so I got my Jamboard up here to help me if I need it to be up, because sometimes we just have to work some stuff out. So we're asking ourselves, how many times can 18 go to 43? So it's either going to be 2 or 1, because that's what they have it. And I'm going to tell you right now, it's not going to be 1. So if you need to, you're going to take 18 times 2. 8 times 2 is 16. 2 times 1 is 2, plus 1 is 3. So we get 36. So I am going to rewrite the problem to make it easier for me as I'm doing this. So 18 goes into 2. Sorry, 18 times 2 is 36. We are going to subtract. We get a 7, bring down our 2. Now you're going to do 18 times what is 72. Now, because they give you answers here, it's either going to be 6, 4, or 9. Let's try 4. 8 times 4 is 32. 4, 5, 6, 7. So we get 24 as our answer. It will take Mr. Soto 24 months to pay for his phone. Complete the statement to check if your answer is reasonable. Because the estimate 20, because that's what we estimated to, is close to the quotient 24, the answer is reasonable. Okay, let's check our next problem we're going to. An experimental airplane is flying at an altitude of 8,000 feet when it begins descending to land. If the plane descends at a constant rate of 125 feet per minute, how long will it take to land the plane? So we're going to take 8,000 and we're going to divide it by 100. Okay, choose which statement best explains where to place the first number in the quotient. I'm not digging that problem. I'd rather you skip that problem and go down to actually solving it. So on our piece of work paper, we're going to take 8,000. We're going to divide it by 125. $125 cannot fit into 8 or 80, but it can fit into 800. And now the options that's going to limit us down to is either going to be a 6 or a 5. I'm going to try it with a 6. 125 times 6. 5 times 6 is 30. 12, 13, 14, 15, 6, 7. So we are going to be writing a 6. 800 minus 750 is 50. We bring down the 0. 125 times 5, it will not work there. Let's try a 4. 5 times 4 is 20. 4 times 2 is 8, plus 2 is 10. 4, 5. So we're going to put a 4 up here because 4 times 125 is 500. And our answer that we get right up here is 64. So we'll drag that right up. We'll check it, and that's what we got. So let's complete the statement. It will take the plane 64 minutes to land because the estimate 80. So 64 and 80, though they may seem a little far, they're really not that far apart. So we're going to say it is reasonable. I'm going to go back and I'm going to refresh everything. I'm going to go on to the next page. Okay, an art class is making mosaics with glass squares. Each of the 121 students will get the same number of glass squares to use. The total number of glass squares for the students to use is shown. So right up here it says 1,240 glass squares. How many glass squares will each student get? So we're going to be taking 1,240 and we're going to divide it by 121, which is the answer right there. Because we need to find the equal amount of groups, so we need to divide. And now they have it here for you already, but I'm going to be writing it over here so we can actually work it out a little bit. So I have 121 and I'm dividing by 1,240. 121 cannot fit into 1. It can't fit into 12, but it can go into 124 once. Because 1 times 121 is 121. 121 cannot go into 30, so we're going to put a 0 up here. So we have 10, remainder 30. Just like that. So each student will receive 10 glass squares because they each have to have the same amount. And then they just have a remainder of 30 left over because every kid has to have the same amount. So we can't do anything with this remainder 30. So a remainder is the amount left over when an amount cannot be divided equally. What does the remainder mean in this context? That there are 30 glass squares that will not be used. There are 30 leftover glass squares that will be used. There are 30 leftover glass squares that each student will receive, or there are 30 leftover glass squares that one student, and they will not be used because we have to divide it equally among everyone. That is the end of Step It Out for Module 4, Lesson 3.